The Bamboo Project wholesale video starts in 3, 2.
Welcome to the Bamboo Project YouTube channel. My name is Donivan Gray.
And my name is Melissa Burnett. We currently have over 300 videos on our channel of our Dr. Sebi inspired diet, travel vlogs, sports, music, clothing, podcast, beauty, and everything else. We live in New York City, and this is episode 25 of our virtual wholesaling series, where we give weekly updates on our journey to close our first deal.
We started this series for the people who want to get into wholesaling, who don't have any money, who don't have any mentors, and wanted the perspective of other people just starting out. Today is May 6th, and this is last week's update. Previously, I've talked about this many episodes, okay? And honestly, I have a question too. I'm curious of people who are watching the video. I want to know, how many hours do people put into wholesaling every week? Because Melissa and I were having this conversation, right? And I'd be feeling like I'm not putting in enough hours, right? I'd be like, okay, I think a reasonable amount of hours to put in every week would be, I think I said, what, 30 hours?
You said like 20, 30.
Like 20?
You said 20 is the average amount, or like a normal amount, and then you said 30 is like if you trying to do it.
Yeah, I think it's like 4 a day, which would be like 28. So that's what I think I said. So it'd be 28 hours a week. What I think would be for me to feel like, okay, I think I did a lot of wholesaling last week, right? And then Melissa told me, or she put into perspective, she was like, yeah, that's a lot of hours. And like, most people have a job, they're doing things, they have kids, they're at home, they have different things that, you know, just sleeping, eating, things like that.
They have school, they have to, you know, transportation takes up time. So it's like,
yeah. So I was just like, because I always feel, I'm like, damn, it's been a while. It's been like, we started in October. We haven't gotten a deal since October. I think we started in November actually, and we still haven't gotten a deal. And I'm like, you know what? Maybe we aren't working hard enough, right? Also, funny enough, I would like to think that,
I think it doesn't negate each other. Like, just because, how do I explain it?
They're not equal. Like, we did,
like,
it's a false.
It's
a false equivalence.
Yeah, where it's like, just because you haven't gotten a deal doesn't mean that you haven't been working hard. But the same thing applies to just because
you got a deal doesn't mean you worked hard for it.
Yeah, or that might be the reason. It might be the reason. Maybe you're not working hard enough. Yeah. Maybe you're not using your time to the most efficient way. Like, it could go either way.
Right. So I'm going to tell another story that happened in the last week, which is listen, I don't try to come up with content for YouTube. I just kind of document my life, and then I put it out to YouTube. And things happen to me all the time. And this week, something happened in the wholesaling game again. I have like 4 or 5 videos of craziness happening while I'm trying to wholesale. And I will tell you about what happened in the last week. But before I get there, like I said, I'm curious how much other people are kind of wholesaling, like how often they do it. Because right now, I think I probably put like, in a good week, maybe like 10 hours now a week to wholesaling. And I think that's not a lot. I don't think that's a lot, especially when before Melissa and I were sitting down doing like 4 to 5 hours straight of cold calling, and then at night we're looking for leads, and we were responding back to agents and making phone calls and stuff like that. So I feel like during that month is when I feel like those days were like, okay, we definitely wholesaled. Like, we were really killing it that day or those days. So what?
Yeah, I already know. I feel like wholesaling is a scam. I don't mess with wholesaling. It is what it is. I'll do the work. But I don't really bangs with it.
Yeah. So I've realized that, honestly, outside of Lili, I don't really know of anybody else. I guess I could say Jerry, but I don't know of anybody else who's wholesaling properties on market without actually buying the property themselves. I feel like a lot of people I see who do on market deals have bought the property and then they flip it, or then they do a double close or something like that. Lili is the only person I know that is getting properties on market without having to buy them. So there are a lot of problems that I've run into with doing that. I saw that Lili had a agent that she was working with. I figured, you know what, that would probably be the best thing to do, is get an agent to work with. So I was trying to find an agent. I found buyers. I found agents that were in the sense of sending me deals, but I never had an agent that I worked with that actually knew that I would probably be wholesaling or signing the contract. So I talked about this the last 2 weeks. I found an agent who I wanted to work with, who helped me, or who I guess sold the house that we purchased in Philadelphia, and it ain't really going too well. Last week I kind of talked about how it was not going that well. I was like, you know what? It's kind of not looking real. I'm not really confident in this relationship, right? So I talked to the guy and he said, yeah, if you get a property under contract, you know, it's off market, don't worry about it. We can put it on the MLS and we can assign it from there, which to me already seems kind of fishy. I'm like, that's not really what I've heard anybody say as far as wholesaling, right? But also I've not really worked with agents who wholesale. So we had talked about this like 4 times, like 5 times, probably back and forth, texting, sending comps. I'm like, all right, I will close on it. I'm like, look, if I'll close on this, because I already know I can close on it because the agent who had it had already agreed to, at a price for me. All I had to do was sign a contract. So I already know I can get it under contract. I already, without any AMD, I already know it's good to go, right? All I wanted to make sure was once I get it under contract, sir, will we be able to assign this to somebody or find a way to assign it? He was like, yeah, we could do that. No problem. He kept saying things like, I'm a full service guy. You know, I do wholesaling. I'm a broker. I'm an agent. I have that little, I own property. He kept saying these things. I'm just like, all right. Now, my rule of thumb is when somebody does stuff like that and they kind of, you know, go, I guess, above and beyond to self-promote, I kind of usually think that there's some type of, I think they're overcompensating is what I would say, right? I hit up the agent who has the property that they're going to sell to me. And I'm like, all right, cool. I'm ready to go. So I text him. I'm like, yo, I'm out to get the contract signed. He said, all right, cool. And then I text him like, yo, do you mind representing me on the deal? He was like, yeah, I can do that. And I said, all right, cool. So I text him back and say, yo, contract is signed. No response. I call him. No response. I text him. I'm like, yo, got the property in the contract. What you trying to do with it? Like, what's going on your end? You know, you got buyers. You can put on MLS. What's going on? No response. So I'm just like, all right, now I'm sitting here with this deal in my hands again, which I've been in a situation like this multiple times. And I'm just like, all right, now I got to find a buyer for this, which I'm not. I have buyers lined up for the property, so I'm not too, you know, I kind of have a way of I guess disposition of getting it out. I have ways to do it, but that was not the plan. The plan was to work with this agent who has buyers and then wholesale it that way. So no response. And I'm just like, so I signed the contract, seller signed the contract, and we just I have to sign it. So I'm like, you know what? Let me I guess find out some more information on this property, because it's a shell. I've talked about it before where we weren't able to get inside like months ago and had a buyer because it was boarded up and the door behind the board had a key and there was no lock. The door behind the board had a lock and we had no key to get inside. So I'm like, all right, let me just kind of look up some more info on this property. And I forgot exactly what brought me to this website. I don't remember I don't know why. Oh, I remember. On the board, it has a LIC, which means license and inspection. It says like, you know, this property has been, you know, closed and cleaned by the city and whatever. If you enter, you get fined or whatever, something like that, right? So I was like, you know what do they really do? I want to find out what they do, how it works. So I looked up the actual number on the piece of whatever that is, the little sign. Because I'm like, maybe there's actual information about this property if I look up this actual number. Come to find out, the number was just the law that they had on it. It was like, you know, sections 304, something like that, right? I found out that you can actually look up a property on the state website, I guess it was, or the city website, and they will give you info on the property. I'm like, all right, cool. So I'm thinking, you know, I'm trying to find out. I was trying to find out. I think I remember. I was trying to find out how I can get inside the property because I don't have a key. I was trying to figure that out. Either way, it took me to that page, regardless, right? So I go on the page, right? And I look on it and it says something along the lines of This property is, I think it said it was bought by or owned by or worked on by, that's what it was, worked on by this guy, right? So I'm like, all right, cool. Maybe he will be able to get me a key into the building, or at least if I tell him like, yo, bro, I'm trying to get into the building. I just have, I'm about to buy the property. I want to get inside to look around. So I call this number that's on the website, right? And he's like, hey, what's going on? I'm like, yeah, man, I'm looking at this property over on, I think it was like Cleveland or something like that, right? And I'm like, so, yeah, what's going on? I found your number on the website. He was like, what's the address? I said, the one on Cleveland Street. He said, on Cleveland Street? He was like, Cleveland Street? He was like, yeah. That has an inspection thing on it, right? I'm like, yeah, it does. He's like, yeah, okay. I'm gonna call you back about that one, because I gotta check my folder and my file on it. So I'm like, okay, cool. So, maybe like 20 minutes go by, 25 minutes go by, like 30 minutes go by, right? I get a call from this guy. And he's like, yo, you said the property on Cleveland Street, right? I'm like, yeah, Cleveland Street. He was like, yeah, we knocked that building down like 3 weeks ago, right? I'm like, you knocked the building down 3 weeks ago? Mind you, I think it was more than 3 weeks ago. He's like, yeah, we had to demolish it. We were sending notices to the owner that they have to pay some type of back taxes or something like that, and it's like $27,000. It's like $20,000 worth of taxes, right? And they were just like, yeah, we've been trying to contact them for you a while now, and we haven't actually been able to get in contact with them. So I'm just like, what do you mean it's knocked down? I'm like, when you say not, like, you mean like the inside is demolished? I'm like, yeah, the inside. I'm thinking like the inside definitely to the studs. It's a shell. He's like, no. There's no building there anymore. And I'm like, what do you mean there's no building there anymore? Because as you guys may or may not know, we virtually wholesale. We try to virtually wholesale, right? These are one of the things you run into with virtually wholesaling. You know how I learned that? From this happening. Because I didn't know this is something that people be going through as a virtual wholesaler, right? So there's no house there. Mind you, there was a house there like a month and a half ago. We had somebody go to the property. The house was there. I had the buyer go to the property. I had my cousin go look by the property. I had the contractor go look at the property, take the wood off. Everybody saw this house that was there. The house was there this whole time, right? Now that I have a contract for the house, shit gone. House disappeared, just vanished in the thin air, right? And I'm just like, yo, what? So then I'm talking to the guy, right? Because mind you, I still have the property under contract. So he's explaining to me how this works. He was like, yeah, if you were to buy this house, you would be liable for the cost that is still attached to the house when you buy it. So if you buy it, you're going to owe the city the money that's currently owed on the house. And I'm like, what? I'm like, what are you talking about? Right? He's like, listen, if that's how it works. He said, yeah, we demoed it. I'm thinking that, because there were houses right next to it that were like also shells, and they had to be knocked down too, in my opinion. But my issue with the house in the beginning was that if somebody were to buy it, they'd be like, damn, the house next door is dilapidated. There's not really much you can do in that house, so it probably would be a bad investment to buy because next door looks like shit. So I'm talking to the guy, and he's like, listen, man, this house is gone. There's no house there. But, if you're an investor, you're looking for stuff. If I come across something, I'll let you know. I said, cool. Keep my number. Keep in contact. Now I know a demo guy. So now, listen, watch him how we're going to end up developing a property before we wholesale. We're going to be like, yeah, we have this developer guy. We demoed the house. I got a contract. We're developing land in Philadelphia, but, still haven't signed a contract yet. So that's where we at right now. This is crazy. I think this real estate journey we've been on has taken us all the way over here, all the way over there, and we were trying to get from here to here. We were trying to get from no money, because they say that, right? All the YouTube videos say you can wholesale with no money. It's right, do 10 deals a month, make $30,000, right? Like, okay, we can do $10,000. We started with Jerry's program, that shit don't work. We started trying to do it ourselves, off market, that shit don't work. We're trying to get agents, get properties under contract, other states, that shit don't work. And we're just like, bruh, what is happening? What is going on, right? So, shit's crazy. So, Yeah, my brain is traumatized from all the experiences I've had dealing with wholesaling. It's just funny, right? Because I'm like, the time when I lost 2 deals, the time when Jerry turned down all the contracts, I had to find somebody in Philly. I was wholesaling property. People telling me they won't go to the property. It was we're in Georgia trying to wholesale. It's a lot. I just think it's funny. But one more thing we're trying, right? I decided that, I talked about this last week, I'm going to get my real estate license, right? So that I can get access to the MLS. Why, you might ask, if you don't know, is because I want to be able to get comps without having to actually use somebody else. Because my experience with working with other people, this is just me personally, it could be a me thing, I don't know. But I tend to not trust people when I work with them. Not in the beginning, for sure, but it usually turns out to be a situation where I have to either do most of the work or they just start doing some crazy shit. And I'd be like, damn, you know what? I should probably do this myself. I should probably go out and just become an agent myself, because obviously I asked for comps. They send me crazy ass comps. I'd be like, hey, can you send me a contract for me? They go, yeah. Disappears. There's nowhere to be found. I'm like, damn, this is crazy. It's just crazy. But yes, I've been taking my course, my real estate course. I think it's getting kind of fire. I'm enjoying it. I'm trying to figure out different ways to kind of like learn more. And like I said, I'm gonna assign a property if I have to buy it and assign it to myself. All right, I'm gonna figure out a way to assign a property. If I'm gonna buy and assign it to Donivan Gray and from Bamboo, I will figure it out, because this is ridiculous. This is making no sense.
It's a scam.
Listen. I'm a finesse the scam, because this is not. I will not allow myself to not assign a contract or a wholesaler property. I can't allow it to happen. So that's where I'm at right now. I said real estate course is kind of cool. I don't really have a lot of certificates or licenses or things like that, because I'm not really into school or formal education. I like to just learn things myself to be able to know them. But this is my first time in a long time actually going out and be like, oh, you know what? I'm gonna actually like get a paper to be able to do something. So I've learned a lot from the YouTube University myself. I learned something from Life Lessons, another good course you guys should take. But that's kind of how I've been doing. Now, earlier I said that we try to go from step 1 to step 2, which is step 1 is being broke, about to get evicted, which you can see in episode 1. And then you have step 2, which is wholesaler property, right? And I told you it took us all the way over there. Like, what could possibly happen next? So, like I said, we're going over here. We're going over here. We're trying to just be right here. I wanted to get access to the MLS, right? So I became a real estate, or go take my real estate course. Now, there are several types of people who can get access to the MLS, right? One of them is a broker, which is the person that is above all the real estate agents, right? The second one is an agent, which is, a salesperson. That's a term I learned, right? Now, funny enough, y'all probably never heard of this, because I know I didn't, right? They are called cemetery brokers and cemetery salespeople. They are people who just sell the plots of land, like the same way you have a real estate agent. People probably are wholesaling plots. I might get into that. All right, I'm gonna figure out how to wholesale something, right? And then there's another one. I think there's timeshare, possibly, but then there's also appraisers, which everybody's familiar with appraisers, right? So the original plan was for me to get my license in Philadelphia, and then my beautiful, phenomenal, amazing girlfriend to get her license in Georgia. That was the original plan. However, my beautiful, phenomenal, amazing girlfriend was like, you know what? This appraiser should look kind of cool. Right? She's like, this should look kind of fire. How much money they make? Okay, this should kind of fire. So she decided that in Georgia, she is going to get her appraiser's license. Right? So she's been, taking her course. I don't really know much about it, so she had to tell y'all, because I know a little bit, but she obviously knows more than I do about how her day has been going, her life has been going with appraising. All
right, so yeah, like Donivan just said last week, he was like, all right, I'm about to buy this real estate course, right? And I'm like, I don't know if I want to be a real estate agent, because I'm like, we would both have to work in like a brokerage or something like that to get the access to the MLS. I'm like, if I could just become an appraiser and just get the access without actually having to like work under somebody, I would do that. And I looked it up. If you become a trainee appraiser, so you pass the appraiser course, they give you access to the MLS without you actually having a mentor. So I'm like, okay, that sounds cool, right? So what?
Some people probably don't know what an appraiser is.
Oh. let me backtrack. So an appraiser, if you're unfamiliar, is someone who gives an assessment, an unbiased assessment of the value of a property. So that's pretty much what they do. They tell you how much your house is worth. It's supposed to be unbiased, so they're not doing it to the benefit of you or doing it to the benefit of whoever you need the appraisal for. So a lot of people need appraisals for like banks to give you like a mortgage loan. They might need it to like for like tax liens or something like that, or they might need it for when someone's getting divorced, or passing down assets when you pass away. So there's many different reasons why you might need an appraisal, and that's what they do. They tell you how much the land, how much the house, the property is worth. Typically the coursework for becoming a real estate agent is like 75 hours. So 75 hours. Currently the course that I'm taking right now is 94 hours. So that's damn near 20 more hours of work that you have to do. The course that I took costs $700. How much does your course cost?
$250.
So it's more expensive.
I think I got a discount.
Yeah.
It might have been like $349.
And I got mine through the Georgia MLS.
How much was yours?
$700.
That was a cheap version too.
That was a cheap version. I'm gonna make a video dedicated to this because when I was looking for resources for myself for to become an appraiser, I couldn't really find anything. And I've actually, the first video that I did find was a black woman in Texas. She looked relatively young. She wasn't an old white man. That's typically what you see as appraisers. So the fact that she was black, the fact that she was a woman, the fact that she was younger, like she probably was in her 30s, maybe 40s. So that's something that's uncommon. So it's going to be very uncommon to see a black 20-something-year-old being an appraiser. But we doing uncommon things out here. But either way, I was very inspired by what she was saying and like pretty much the information that she gave. So it helped me to decide like this is something that I want to go forward with. However, I don't really see a lot of like things that'll help me with course material because I am not I can learn from a textbook. I can do it, but it's not my preferred way of learning. I like videos. I like hearing, someone explain it. So, and like those different examples, like what people give to the coursework that helps you to understand it. So since there's nothing out there like that, that's what my videos in the future are going to be about when it comes to appraising. So I'm going to go over kind of like whatever I learned in that lesson for that day. I'm going to go over that, and it'll be helpful to me because when it's time for me to study for my test, because you can only take it twice. I have something to refer to, something to get information from and solidify what I know.
That means is YouTube, Bamboo Project. We coming out with new content. All right. So we drop it. This is new, hopefully daily content of Melissa. It'll be only of Melissa, unless I make, my cameo appearances, you know me, you feel me. It'll be Melissa, because like she said, it's easier if you hear the course material and if you're repeating it. And it's funny because one thing that I've realized with myself in the past, and I'm pretty sure other people have realized too, is if you teach material, it also helps you to learn it. So if she's talking about it on video, it'll help her to kind of be able to verbalize what it is that she's actually trying to say or do, and then it'll be easy for her to remember it when she has her test. So it's like a win-win. She remember it, and somebody else might hear it and be like, oh, okay, I'm gonna do that. Now I don't know if you told them how much they make. You did different levels of. Yeah,
so there's 4 different levels of an appraiser depending on where you live. So there's a trainee appraiser. That's the first one. The second one is a licensed appraiser. The third one is a certified residential appraiser, and the fourth one is a certified general appraiser.
The fourth one.
Yeah, just whatever companies look for appraisers, your name is on a list and they can pick your name out. There's not really a lot of appraisers out there, so you probably gonna get picked. And that's one thing that I liked about the video that I watched from that lady in Texas, because she was saying that this is the first job that she's worked in where people are kind of coming to her. Like, she doesn't have to look for work. She getting mail, she getting phone calls, just getting random different things to do appraisals, because there isn't really a lot of appraisers. You get to choose how much you charge people. So you can kind of, I noticed that they said once the square footages, some people charge per square feet of the house. So if you're appraising larger houses, that means you're probably gonna get more money. But on average, appraisers can make $500 an appraisal, depending on like if they're staff, if they're independent, so on and so forth. It'll fluctuate. So the low end probably like $250 for one appraisal. High end, medium end is probably like $500. And then the top one, I want to be the top one. I want to be the one at the top, the certified residential appraiser. So that one, you get to appraise houses for over $1 million. I want to be in the $1 million houses. I want to be in there. I want to be in there. But like, this is worth, that's going to be me. So I'm very, that's my goal. That's what I'm working towards. Now for that one, for the ones that I just mentioned, you don't need any college experience or anything like that in most states. For the one that I want to be, I need like 30 hours of coursework. I already did some college. I went to one nearby. Currently have 12, so I need to get 18 more credits. So once I do that, I'm gonna be good. I'm gonna be good. Ready, set, go. I want to get into a lot more information. Like, I'll do a video on why I chose to do it. Then I'll start doing, my coursework, kind of, reviews. Yeah. Reviewing my lessons that I take, and that'll be daily videos available for you guys if you want to get into becoming an appraiser. Yeah, so that pretty much wraps it up for, I guess, last week's update. I'm hoping that next week, hopefully we get a deal. The same agent sent me 2 other properties to look at. One of them might be a deal, and they're both off market, so I'm gonna have to kind of double check on those. But say, you know what it is. Hashtag Bring Project 2021. We going up. We're going to be appraisers, agents, flippers, everything but wholesalers this year. It seems like we'll have Airbnbs, a bunch of other real estate stuff, just not actually have a wholesale deal. So we're going to see what happens next going forward. So with that being said, Bamboo Project out.